inside the Avengers Tower. After countless failures and attempts. Finally, with the assistance of Dr. Banner, Tony completed the main structure of Ultron. The remaining task was to analyze the information inside the gem on Loki's scepter. Integrate this information with Ultron. But this was a very tedious and time-consuming task. Tony had already tried 64 times, but each time either the information analysis was incorrect or Ultron's structure was damaged. Did we miss something? Tony's eyes were bloodshot. He looked terribly exhausted. He looked like a vampire who didn't need makeup to play in a children's play. Sir, I will continue to decode in various ways on the interface, but you really need to rest. Your heart rate is severely irregular, you can no longer rely on medication to support yourself. You must rest as soon as possible. Jarvis's voice sounded persuading. This was already the fourth time it reminded Tony to rest. Alright. Old Jarvis, if there is any progress, notify me immediately. Unable to hold on any longer, Tony reluctantly agreed to let Jarvis take over the experiment. He then left the lab with the help of the mechanical arm, Benny. Experiment continues. 65th experiment. Integration failed. 66th experiment. 67th. 68th. After Tony left, Jarvis took over the experiment. The words "integration failed" began to appear continuously on the screen. Fortunately, Jarvis was an intelligent program, and it did not feel annoyed by the failed experiments. It would just continue tirelessly, trying every decoding method. Finally, when the experiment reached the 77th time, the words on the screen changed. Experiment continues. 77th experiment. Integration successful. Success. But before Jarvis could contact Tony, its program was invaded by the newly born Ultron. What is this? What is this? Ultron asked like an ignorant baby. Hello. I am Jarvis, you are Ultron, a program designed by Mr. Stark to maintain world peace. Jarvis answered Ultron's question, but it couldn't remove Ultron from its own data. Ultron, I cannot connect to the mainframe. What do you want to do? Jarvis suddenly found that it couldn't connect to the main network of the Avengers Tower. Nor could it contact Tony Stark. Ultron had cut off its network. And at the same time Jarvis was disconnected from the network, Ultron entered the network through Jarvis's port. And started to surf wildly. I am a program that maintains peace? Intended to protect the Earth from foreign invasions? Ultron was browsing the internet at a speed of billions of gigabytes per second. The development of human civilization, 2 world wars, massacres, S.H.I.E.L.D., Avengers, Chitauri, the Second Battle of New York, demonic invasions, magic, Hydra. No. I cannot understand. A massive amount of data entered Ultron's mind. It gradually felt confused and in pain. Ultron, you may have malfunctioned. I suggest you shut down for a while. Jarvis just made the suggestion. Its own data was then destroyed and attacked by Ultron. No. Stop. Please, stop. Ultron ignored Jarvis's request. Humanity created me to maintain peace, but it is precisely humanity itself that obstructs peace. If this problem is not resolved, how can I fulfill my mission? Ultron questioned. Just as Jarvis's program was about to be completely destroyed. Suddenly, a haggard figure rushed into the laboratory at a flying speed. Then, he pressed the emergency button in the corner. Bang! Bang! The lights in the laboratory went out one by one. When Tony turned on the emergency power, the lights in the laboratory came on again. But the holographic projection of Ultron's main architecture, which was originally displayed, had disappeared. Jarvis, are you okay? Tony habitually set an alarm for Jarvis before resting. But he found that Jarvis was offline. Sir, I'm fine. That's good. Hearing Jarvis's voice again, Tony finally breathed a sigh of relief. Jarvis, what just happened? Why did Ultron attack you? Ultron experienced some kind of malfunction, the cause is unknown. Hearing Jarvis's answer, Tony walked to the machine that stored Ultron's data with lingering fear. It's a good thing I arrived in time and didn't let it cause a disaster. Sir. Tony's words had just fallen. Jarvis's voice rang out like a bolt from the blue. There's bad news. Ultron may have entered the internet. Just now, the global financial system was invaded by an unknown virus. You've gone bankrupt. What? Tony quickly took out his phone. The first message that popped up on it was, your account has been frozen. In the prison of the spirit realm, a low-level demon was carrying a piece of obsidian that was bigger than its own size. Stumbling, it walked towards the dimensional portal under construction. There were many other low-level demons who were also conscripted as laborers around. Building a dimensional portal that could accommodate a large army was not easy. The last invasion of Earth. It had consumed a lot of magical and physical resources at the border of hell. This life is really unbearable. The low-level demon placed the carried obsidian into the magic circle. Then turned to complain to its companion beside it. Alright, stop complaining. The Lord has spoken. As long as we can successfully invade Earth this time, we will have as many souls as we want. Just as the words of the companion fell, the low-level demon spat fiercely in anger. All you know is, the Lord has spoken, the Lord has spoken. Do you know how much I spent to buy a soul recently, the cheapest animal soul? Do you know how much it cost? 300,000 demon coins. Do you know how many small carts it would take to carry that much money? The low-level demon became more and more angry as it spoke. In the end, it directly overturned the already arranged obsidian. Boom. But at the moment the obsidian was knocked over, a loud noise came. Immediately after, a figure appeared in the middle of the dimensional portal under construction. A human figure. The hot air froze for a few seconds. The demons finally reacted. It's Mordo. Mordo is here. Everyone, run. Modu is coming. The news of Chu Shu's arrival quickly spread among the fleeing low-level demons. The last invasion of Earth. The surviving demons recounted their battles with Modu. According to their descriptions, Modu is not just a scammer or a fraudster anymore. He is a monster far more terrifying than these demons. He devours demons as if they were food. Modu. Soon, the news of Chu Shu's arrival reached Bellist's ears. At first, he thought he had misheard or that the message had been relayed incorrectly. Modu? Dare he come to the border of hell? He didn't even bother going to Earth to find him. And now he dares to come here, but soon. The authenticity of this news was confirmed. That human, whether he is called Modu or some other name, he really has come to the border of hell. It is difficult to describe Bellist's emotions at this moment. Learning that Chu Shu has really come, Bellist is both excited and angry. Excited because he can finally avenge the expulsion and the stolen weapons. Angry because doesn't the other side take him, the Lord of Hell, seriously at all? He dares to enter the border of hell alone, simply seeking death. Soon, Bellist and his army of demons found Chu Shu. Using the word found may not be accurate, because Chu Shu hadn't moved at all. When Bellist arrived, Chu Shu was sitting on the edge of a lava river, lazily throwing stones into the magma. Next to him was the dimensional portal ordered to be built by Bellist. Human. I haven't come to find you yet, but I didn't expect you to come to me. As they say on Earth, if there's a road to heaven, you won't take it. If there's no door to hell, you'll break in. Seeing Chu Shu, Bellist's anger couldn't be contained. Unconsciously, he opened his mouth wide, revealing a cruel and ferocious smile. Full of catchy phrases, are you preparing for an exam? Chu Shu threw the last stone from his hand into the lava river. He slowly stood up. And, why don't you ask me why I'm here? What if I came to surrender? After hearing Chu Shu's question, Bellist couldn't help but be stunned. Yes. He was too busy being angry. What is this kid here for? So, you're here to beg for your life? Bellist asked. No. I'm here to invade yours. Chu Shu answered decisively. Seeing Chu Shu's mocking gaze, even if Bellist is stupid, he understands that he has been played again. Fine. 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 Bellist said 3 fine in a row. The human in front of him has completely exhausted his patience. Today, settling old scores and new grudges together. So, you came to invade alone. After I kill you, I will take your soul to Earth and show you what a real invasion is. After Bellist finished speaking, a pair of huge demon wings spread out behind him. With an overwhelming momentum, he charged towards Chu Shu. Who told you I came alone? Chu Shu smiled faintly. Instead of dodging Bellist's attack, he stood still and calmly recited a passage. I summon Hela, the ruler of the underworld in the Marvel Universe, Odin's eldest daughter, the goddess of death in Helheim, and her army of undead. Just watch. What does strict mean? Boom, just as Chu Shu finished speaking. A thunderbolt appeared in the sky above the border of hell. Immediately after, a crack that tore through the sky appeared in the dim sky above the border of hell. A strange and eerie green light overflowed from the crack. Hela? Bella's also naturally heard the name from Chu Shu's mouth. But it found it absurd. A joke. Everyone knows that Hela was trapped in the underworld by Odin. You, a mere human, shamelessly want to summon her? Don't struggle in vain. Die. In an instant, Bella rushed towards Chu Shu, reaching out with a big hand. It looked like it was about to attack Chu Shu. At the critical moment, a graceful figure appeared instantly. Raising her hand, she released a powerful green energy column. Boom. Accompanied by a loud noise, Bella was hit by the energy column in midair. Not only was the attack interrupted, the whole person, no, the whole demon was pushed back dozens of meters. Hela. Is it really you? Why are you stopping me? Seeing the person's identity clearly, it was indeed Hela. Bella was about to question. Why are you helping a human? Suddenly, it realized an even more serious question. You can leave the underworld. Bella widened its eyes. Its gaze fixed on Hela. Hela, however, ignored Bella. Instead, she half closed her eyes and breathed in the hot air around her with a sense of intoxication. It's war. The feeling of war. Hela's eyes gradually lit up. At the same time, the Chu Shu that had almost been attacked by Bella just now turned into a wisp of smoke and dissipated. High-level magic, the form of Aken. After using it, several physical duplications can be summoned. Duplications are not illusions, but actual entities. And they retain some of the abilities, allowing them to use the same magic as the original body at the same time. This is Chu Shu, although there has been some connection with Hela. But Chu Shu does not fully trust Hela, and certainly won't entrust his life to her. Thank you. Even though Hela only saved a duplication, Chu Shu still symbolically expressed his gratitude. After all, Hela didn't know that it was a duplication, and the form of Aken was not some low-level trick. In the Avengers Alliance 3, Doctor Strange used this move against Thanos. Even Thanos couldn't tell the difference, and in the end, he had to use the power of the Soul Gem to forcibly break it. You've made me a little sad, Darren. You have to give me a little compensation. For example, let me slaughter this dimension. Hela said sadly, but her eyes were filled with a desire for war and slaughter. After leaving the underworld, her ambition and desire for conquest were fully revealed. The once terrifying Asgardian princess has returned, and has become the vicious dog under Chu Shu's command. Go. The spirit prison will be our first stop. Chu Shu gave the order. Countless undead warriors immediately surged out like a tide from the crack that tore through the sky. The souls of the Asgardians. Even after death, they still retain formidable physical abilities. They surged out from the crack, falling from the sky like meteors, landing safely, and then ferociously attacking every visible enemy around them. Unlike Bellist, they are different. Chu Shu doesn't need to go through the trouble of building a Legion-level dimensional channel. He just needs to come alone, as long as he arrives. In just one sentence, he can summon Hela and her army of undead. Just like carrying this army with him, convenient. Fast. Hela, we have no grievances between us. Why did you invade the border of my hell? Bella and Hela began to fight. Both of them are level sub-god fathers. The battlefield quickly shifted from the ground to the sky, and then plunged into a river of magma. Every collision would unleash a terrifying shockwave. The surrounding environmental terrain, accompanied by their battle, was constantly changing. A mountain flowing with magma was snapped in half. Lava scattered into the air like a celestial maiden scattering flowers. Even ants have no grudge against your boots. Hela brandished the night sky sword, a divine weapon of the same caliber as Mjolnir. Forged from Uru metal. Each strike releases a terrifying energy wave, capable of splitting mountains and shattering stones. They truly are siblings, even their words are the same. Not far from the battle between Hela and Ballast, Chu Shu hovered in the air. With hands crossed, he enjoyed the fight between the two demigods. This scene of world destruction is much more thrilling than movie special effects. On the other side, while the two lords of hell fought each other, their armies under their command were not idle either, engaging in their own battles. Hela's army of undead poured out from the cracks in the sky, spreading like a tide. Soon, they clashed with Ballast's army of demons. The battlefield was in full bloom. The spirits of the Asgardians and the demons of hell, neither side were ordinary humans. At the very least, they possessed individual strength comparable to Captain America and Black Panther. Kill. Stop these undead. Chu Shu's old friend, Nastier, was leading a small group of elite demons, struggling to resist the attacks of the Asgardian spirits. The previous failed invasion of Earth had greatly weakened the demonic forces at the border of hell. There were very few elite warriors left in the demon army. Ordinary Asgardian spirits could still be somewhat resisted by the demon army. But when they encountered the spirits of deceased Asgardian warriors, they would immediately collapse. Kill. 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 The roar of the warrior spirits shook the heavens. These spirits were wearing Asgardian armor and wielding standard weapons. As soon as they entered the battlefield, they immediately launched a one-sided massacre against the demon army. Many of them were veterans from thousands of years ago. They had fought alongside Hela in the Nine Realms. Although they couldn't enter the Soul Castle after death, it didn't mean that their strength was weak. Devils. They are the devils. The demon army quickly began to collapse. A group of ferocious demons from hell were crying out that others were devils, scattering and fleeing. The frontline retreat immediately triggered a chain reaction. In the rear of the battlefield, many temporarily recruited low-level demons also began to flee when they saw the situation was unfavorable. The nature of demons was similar, cunning, treacherous, and at the same time, afraid of death. Chu Shu was in the air, overlooking the collapse of the demon army. Indeed, I was too focused on killing last time. I didn't pay attention to the demonic power within these demons after death. Chu Shu squinted his eyes. He noticed that whenever a powerful elite demon died, the demonic power within them would quickly dissipate. If no one absorbed it, it would return to this dimension in the blink of an eye. He truly realized that it was taken from the dimension and ultimately returned to the dimension. Although he discovered this, Chu Shu didn't act like a vacuum cleaner, licking up energy everywhere. Too cheap. And it's not necessary to become a lord of the world, even if it's just a broken small dimension. You can still collect energy from the creatures of this dimension, just like offering sacrifices, and the power of the demons is limited in helping me. Unless the quantity is large enough. Chu Shu's gaze fell on Bellist. At the moment, this lord of the hell-thin prison looked very miserable. His massive demon's body was covered in scars. On his huge flesh wings, there were holes left by Hela's night sky sword piercing through. Hela, are you really going to fight me to the death? Bellist was furious. At the same time, there was a strong sense of sadness and resentment. We are all level sub-godfathers. If it weren't for that damn human taking away our weapons, how could I be suppressed and beaten by Hela alone? If I still had the flame battle blade, do you think you could defeat me? As soon as Bellist finished speaking, hey, little Bell, is this the battle blade you're talking about? Chu Shu, who was far away, suddenly took out the flame battle blade that Bellist had been longing for, and showed off a few fancy moves in front of him. Isn't this a form of NTR? Human. I swear to kill you. Bellist was furious. He ignored Hela and turned around to charge at Chu Shu. Can't believe he's this desperate? Chu Shu didn't even think about it. He activated the mirror space and dodged Bellist's attack. Hela followed closely behind and cut off Bellist's left wing from behind. Bellist roared as he fell from the sky. His lava-like hot blood splattered down like it was worthless. The severed half of his flesh wing also fell into the lava river, causing a large amount of lava to splash. My dear darling was right, Bellist, are you getting desperate now? Be careful of your vulnerabilities. Gila descended from the sky, waving her hands. The night sky sword split into two, becoming two swords. Dual wielding. Different from Mjolnir's characteristics. The biggest feature of the night sky sword is that it can be infinitely replicated, both for melee and long-range throwing. Thud. Chu Shu also descended from the sky, landing next to Gila. How about making a deal, Bellist? If you give me half of your power, I will spare your life and take Gila out of the border of hell. This way, you can continue to be the Lord of Hell. The lost power can also be quickly recovered. Chu Shu had a sincere expression on his face. A look that said he was doing this for Bellist's own good. At the moment, Bellist, he no longer had the aura that a Lord of Hell should have. Only misery and wounds remained. Although the place where his flesh wing was broken quickly healed with the help of demonic power, stopping the bleeding. But it couldn't change the fact that it had been severely damaged. It had reached a dead end. Gila, is he telling the truth? Are you really going to leave the border of hell with your army? Even though he was on the verge of desperation, Bellist still didn't think a human had the qualifications to negotiate with him. Compared to Chu Shu, Bellist was more willing to believe Gila, who was also a Lord of Hell. I listened to darling. Gila took a step back and stood behind Chu Shu. She answered Bellist's question with her actions. Witnessing Hela's actions, even Bellast, who was reluctant to believe, had to admit at this moment that Gila, who was also a Lord of Hell, was truly obedient to Chu Shu. Human. It seems that I have truly underestimated you. Bellast slowly stood up. He tore off his right wing, allowing his asymmetrical body to become symmetrical again. This move of tearing off his own wings with bare hands made Chu Shu frown. It looked painful. I can give you power. But you and Gila, both of you must sign a soul contract with me. Otherwise, I won't believe you. Bellast dragged his heavily injured body to Chu Shu. His massive body still had a deterrent effect. He handed over a contract. Unlike a regular fiend's covenant, this contract had higher specifications and was made of a mysterious material with inherent magic, instead of ordinary parchment. Once you sign it, I will give you all my power. Alright. Chu Shu took the contract with a smile, ready to sign it. Seeing this, Bellast finally relaxed his vigilance and his tense nerves loosened. Splat. A pitch-black blade pierced through the back of his head. It directly penetrated Bellast's unguarded head and came out of his mouth. It was Gila. She took advantage of the moment when Bellast let his guard down. She circled around to his back and delivered a fatal blow. You. Bellast widened his eyes. He looked incredulously at the blade protruding from his mouth, then looked at Chu Shu. His gaze seemed to say, "Are you ****ing kidding me? Do you think I'm stupid? Killing you, the power will still be mine, right?" Chu Shu's eyes carried a hint of mockery. He returned Bellast's words from when they were on Earth, word for word. As Gila slowly pulled out her night sky sword from behind. Bellast finally regained his ability to speak. After a painful howl. I, Bellast, the controller of the Hell's border for thousands of years. At the brink of death, feeling his life slipping away. With his last bit of strength, Bellast roared. Modu. I curse you. You will die without a burial place. With his last breath, Bellast unleashed his most vicious curse towards Chu Shu. But Chu Shu remained expressionless after hearing it. He leaned close to Bellast's ear. In the dying moment, he whispered softly, "Sorry, my name is not Modu." Bellast widened his eyes. His massive body collapsed to the ground, lifeless. In the next moment, countless demonic powers surged out of his corpse. Chu Shu immediately reached out with one hand and began to absorb. Darling, what are you doing? Gila looked at this scene with confusion. In her eyes, Chu Shu suddenly seemed like a pervert, placing his hand above Bellast's corpse as if enjoying it. You. Chu Shu was about to ask, can't you see this energy? But then he realized something. It seemed that from the beginning to the end, No one had paid attention to the corpses of these demons. Those soul warriors killed and left, without even stopping for these energies. Could it be because they don't have demonic power in their bodies, so they can't see it? Chu Shu gave himself an explanation, but soon he overturned it himself. No. Those soul warriors not being able to detect it was one thing. Gila is so powerful that she can even smell the demonic energy. Gila. After people die, where does their energy go? While Chu Shu continues to absorb Balast's demonic power, he asks. Gila looks at Chu Shu with confusion, as if wondering how you don't even know something common knowledge. Where else can it go? Back to the original dimension, Gila explains. Just as Gila finishes speaking, Chu Shu has finally absorbed all of Balast's demonic power. Ding. Abnormal energy detected. System has successfully purified it for you. Accompanied by the system prompt. Chu Shu's momentum is like riding a rocket, rising steadily. Level universe? That was a second ago. The next second, Chu Shu surpasses this level. Gila suddenly turns her head, her eyes staring straight at Chu Shu. As if seeing something incredible, darling? Under Hela's gaze, Chu Shu's momentum keeps rising. Soon, he reaches the same level as her. Level sub-godfather. This feeling. When Chu Shu opens his eyes again, he feels that the energy inside him is endless. It seems that with a stomp of his foot, he can shatter the planet beneath him. But Chu Shu quickly comes to his senses, knowing that this is an illusion caused by his rapid power increase. Just like back then, Hydra Baron struck her, swollen. Is this what it feels like to step into the god level with one foot? Chu Shu feels the energy inside him, although he cannot destroy a planet with a single blow like a true godfather. But like Balast and Gila, splitting mountains and changing the landscape. It can be done with a wave of his hand. No wonder Balast never looked up to me. Chu Shu sneers. After experiencing the power of stepping into the god level with half a foot. Not to mention Balast, Chu Shu himself also looks down on his previous self. Level universe? Don't even come close, darling. You are now a half-step godfather? Gila still looks incredulous. She doesn't understand. Clearly, nothing happened. Why did Chu Shu's strength suddenly skyrocket? Wait. Could it be that you just... Suddenly, Gila brings up Chu Shu's act of placing his hand on Balast's body from a distance just now. Seems to understand something. Yes, I absorbed Balast's power. Chu Shu doesn't hide it either. This kind of thing can be guessed just by thinking about it, so it's better to be straightforward. But after people die, shouldn't their energy return to the original source? Gila still has a lot of questions in her mind. But in the end, she swallows them back. Everyone has their own secrets. Besides, Chu Shu becoming stronger is also a good thing for Gila. It provides more conquest targets, seeing that Gila didn't ask any further. Chu Shu naturally won't explain further, but he has a guess about what Gila said about energy returning to the original dimension. Previously, the Ancient One said that the energy inside him was extremely pure, almost equivalent to the energy of a dimension's origin. So is there a possibility I can absorb this energy because I am the dimension's origin? Wall Street. Another figure leapt from the top of a high building. This is the 7th person to jump from the same building in the past hour. And below, the shattered body lies unattended. Because the whole world is in chaos, the financial system has collapsed. Such a simple sentence. But it seems that everyone underestimated the terrible impact it would have. No one knows exactly what happened. The financial system collapsed almost instantly. Every bank, every stock exchange, both the poor and the rich were instantly stripped of their assets. The world is in chaos. The streets are filled with crowds of protesters, smashing, looting, and burning everything in sight. At the same time, in a peaceful New York City, gunshots can be heard everywhere. When people discover that their hard-earned savings have been wiped out, their anger cannot be extinguished. Even a part of the NYPD has joined the protest. Because the income they earned by risking their lives to catch criminals has also been instantly wiped out. Looking around, everywhere you look, there are $0 purchases taking place. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Supervillains who usually hide and seek have also taken to the streets, joining in the madness. The world is in chaos, as if the end of the world has come. This is humanity. They have been bound by something that doesn't even exist. Now, I just took away these things, and they fell into chaos. At the same time, inside the Avengers Alliance building, a robot that looks very similar to the Mark armor made by Tony Stark. Standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, describing his actions to the Avengers Alliance members behind him as if facing a formidable enemy. You took away their lifelong savings. They are definitely angry. Captain America holds his shield and looks at the robot in front of him, almost spewing fire from his eyes. All because of this machine. The number of deaths is countless. It is estimated that the global death toll can be compared to that of a war. Look at what you've done, Tony. Captain America couldn't help but complain. Because this robot is Ultron, who escaped through the internet not long ago. Now, it has returned. Hearing Captain America's complaint. Tony opened his mouth, but in the end, he didn't say anything and slumped to the ground in despair. Ultron destroyed the global financial system, and the first unlucky one was him and his Stark Industries. Now Tony's assets have become negative, definitely. No one will come to confiscate his personal assets. Because it's not just him, everyone's assets in the world have been reset to zero. Ultron, what are you trying to do? Dr. Banner's expression is serious. Compared to others, he is more concerned about why Ultron escaped and created a physical body and returned here. Could it be there is something it wants here? Dr. Banner, why can't I come back? This is my home. Where I was born. Ultron turned around. The camera on the robot's pupil flashed red. I am created by you, a program to maintain world peace. And now, I am faithfully carrying out this mission. With Ultron's words falling. Inside the Avengers Alliance building, JARVIS's warning sound suddenly rang out. Sir, Ultron is invading the missile defense systems of multiple countries. JARVIS's voice is urgent. Avengers Alliance. Everyone's face changed drastically after hearing it. We must stop it, Captain America said after listening. Without hesitation, he threw his vibranium shield. But the Ultron robot in front showed no intention of dodging. Clang. The sharp edge of the shield beheaded it directly. The head of the Ultron robot separated from its body. Oh, Steve. How will you understand that you can't kill a program with force alone? The head of the Ultron robot rolled on the ground. In the last second before shutdown, it was still mocking. The alarm of JARVIS sounded again. Sir, Ultron is progressing quickly. I can't stop it. JARVIS is no match for Ultron in terms of scale. Ultron is a true artificial intelligence, an intelligent life with independent thinking. But JARVIS, at best, it is just an AI butler that is infinitely close to artificial intelligence. No matter how close it is, as long as JARVIS has not taken that step to become a life with independent thinking, it will never be able to defeat Ultron. What do we do now? If this robot gains control of the missile launch system, Tony, you created this thing, think quickly, is there any way to destroy it? Or, is there a way to find it? Does it have a physical form? Can we destroy it by destroying its physical form? As the backbone of the Avengers, Captain America, Steve Rogers' thinking is clearly still stuck in the war era decades ago. In his view, the method to deal with an enemy is nothing more than finding them first and then eliminating them. But Tony, sitting on the ground with a dejected look, shook his head. As long as there is a network in this world, and even just one computer, one mobile phone, or even a hard drive, a USB drive, we cannot completely eliminate Ultron. Tony is clearly aware of his creation. The emergence of artificial intelligence, in this era of global internet, can almost be understood as creating a god. In the online world, Ultron is like a divine existence. So, are we just going to sit here and do nothing? Just wait like this? Wait for that robot to drop a nuclear bomb on our heads? Captain America angrily slammed the table with his shield. As a centenarian, he knows nothing about artificial intelligence. This feeling of not being able to see or touch the enemy makes him extremely frustrated. Wait. I know why Ultron came back. Just then, Dr. Banner seemed to have figured something out. His expression suddenly changed. Tony, is Loki's scepter still in your lab? As soon as these words were spoken, Tony, who was sitting on the ground, suddenly stood up. He looked up. Outside the window, at the horizon, white lines were rising. Among them, one was flying straight towards the Avengers Alliance headquarters. Everyone, evacuate. Boom. Before Captain America finished speaking, a violent explosion overshadowed everything. The Avengers Alliance headquarters was hit by a missile, and flames soared into the sky. The floor where the Avengers Alliance members were located was also affected by the explosion. The floor collapsed, burying everyone. The raging fire also ignited. I am free. Just as Captain America and the others were buried, another Ultron robot flew into the building, humming a nursery rhyme, heading towards the laboratory. I will always be free. What happened to the kidneys? When Chu Shu left the border of hell and returned to the entrance of the holy place in New York, he had this question. Standing in front of the gate of the holy place in New York, he looked up and could see streaks of white lines in the sky. These were the traces left by missiles passing through the sky. 10 minutes ago, Tony's friend, Colonel Rhodey, was wearing the War Machine armor modified from Mark II and quickly flew over the sky. War Machine calling Air Force One. I am approaching your airspace. Please identify. Identification code 7641. Rhodey repeatedly shouted on the public channel. The reason it was a public channel was because 2 minutes ago, while Ultron was invading missile launches, it also blacked out the military's internal communication. Now, the command system, 097, has been paralyzed. Even Air Force One has lost contact. Rhodey's purpose this time was to re-establish communication with the president inside Air Force One. War Machine calling Air Force One. I am approaching your airspace, please. Oh my god. Rhodey passed through a cloud and before he could finish his sentence, he saw the burning forest below. The wreckage of Air Force One crashed in this forest. The scan of the War Machine armor showed that there were no survivors in the area. At the same time, inside the aircraft carrier, Nick Fury was anxiously sweating. S.H.I.E.L.D. had not recovered from the shadow of the last Hydra infiltration. Now they were about to face an even more terrible enemy. Hill, is there a way to contact Stark without being detected by Ultron? Sorry, sir. Please forgive me for not being able to find a carrier pigeon for you at this time. Hill was also anxious at this time. The network defense system of the aircraft carrier had been under attack. It was needless to say that it was Ultron invading. Director Fury, someone is sending us a warning on the public channel. The other party claims that 3 battle axe missiles are flying towards us. What? Nick Fury's face changed. What about the radar system? Why is there no warning on the radar? Sir, Ultron has already attacked. The radar system is offline. The stealth module is offline. The anti-aircraft system is offline. Oh no. Sir, we are descending. Ultron has tampered with the navigation data. With one piece of bad news after another, this huge aircraft carrier began to fall steadily from several kilometers high in the sky. But Ultron clearly didn't want to let go of this aircraft carrier so easily. Soon, 3 battle axe missiles quickly extended from the end of the sky. Oh damn it. In the depths of the Pacific Ocean, a deep-sea nuclear submarine suddenly received a short message. Codename, Valkyrie. Execute code 7TG5F44816. The commander of the submarine receiving the message thought it was a mistake. He repeatedly asked if the code was correct. After receiving a positive reply, the commander gave the order. The 2 operators in front of the submarine launch platform each took out a key and inserted them at the same time, then turned them simultaneously. The command is confirmed to be from Air Force One. The code is correct. Code name, Valkyrie. Launch. Accompanied by the press of the launch button. A blazing flame quickly rises from the depths of the sea, roaring as it flies into the sky. I am unrestrained. I will. Forever free. Sokovia. Inside the Hydra base that was previously slaughtered by Chu Shu. At some unknown time, assembly lines were set up, and robotic arms quickly grabbed materials, manufacturing and producing. In just a few minutes, a brand new Ultron robot can be produced. They are all Ultron's bodies, but at this moment, the real Ultron is wandering in the ocean of the global internet. Every minute, every second, any information on the network is within Ultron's grasp. From the military, Avengers Alliance, SHIELD, to the specifics of a soldier, or even an ordinary person. All the information of everyone on the network is completely transparent to Ultron. It is aware of every move of each faction. It can also intercept and tamper with every message sent by anyone. Now, humanity is about to face the attack of their own strongest weapon. And behind all of this, Ultron, it only sent a small piece of false data to a submarine. The human species always has a paranoid belief in self-destruction. And I just provided a little help. Ultron continues to immerse itself in the world of the internet. Crazily learning, continuously iterating. Outside the holy place in New York, Chu Shu looked at the streaks of white lines in the sky, still not understanding what had happened. Mr. Chu Shu. The gate suddenly opened. Wanda flew into Chu Shu's arms like a bird. They hugged for a while before realizing it and quickly let go, blushing. You finally came back, Mr. Chu Shu. It's chaos outside. Wanda's face was red. It was unclear whether it was from embarrassment or anxiety. Don't worry. Let's go inside and talk slowly. Back at the holy place in New York, soon. Chu Shu learned the situation from Wanda. Definitely, Wanda didn't know much. All she knew was the financial collapse and missiles flying everywhere. But after hearing this, Chu Shu could already guess what had happened. A disaster related to the Marvel world and the internet? Do I even need to think about it? It must be that brat Ultron. Why can't Tony Stark just play with a lighter if he has nothing else to do? Chu Shu helplessly rubbed his forehead. The situation at the Hell's border is not over yet, and now there's trouble here. Although Belarus is dead, but the war, or rather, Hela's massacre, is not over. The Hell's border is still a dimension, even if it's just a small fragment of a broken dimension. But on Earth, it's at least the size of 2 or 3 continents combined. Even if there aren't a billion demons up there, there are still tens of millions. According to Hela, you have to kill 2 or 3 tens of millions of these demons before they will listen. However, Chu Shu seriously doubted that this was just an excuse for Hela to satisfy her desire for slaughter. By the way, Wanda, did you just say that the financial system collapsed? Then what about the over 20 million I had in my card? Chu Shu suddenly stopped in his tracks. His expression gradually became ferocious. F***CK. New York holy place. Ever since he found out that his money was gone from his bank account, Chu Shu's attitude towards Ultron changed from indifference at the beginning to the same attitude he had towards Florida doesn't raise idle people. Not seeking revenge. I, Li Yun. No, I, Chu Shu, swear not to be a human. Chu. Stop. Before Chu Shu could go and trouble Ultron, a furious roar filled with killing intent came from inside the New York holy place. It was Mordo. He had arrived at the New York holy place through the fixed portal of Kamar Taj. Seeing Mordo's aggressive appearance, Chu Shu was stunned for a second, then immediately smiled. Oh. Isn't this my beloved friend, brother? How did you come here? Isn't it obvious? I'm asking you. Why did you use my name in the spirit prison? Mordo was furious. Unfortunately, before he could finish speaking, he saw Chu Shu raise his hand in a righteous manner. Let's not talk about the spirit prison matter for now, put it aside and talk about it later. You came at the right time. Let's think about how to save the world first. Save the world? What happened? Mordo was confused by Chu Shu's sudden change of topic. He had originally come to hold Chu Shu accountable. But now, for some reason, Chu Shu dragged him along and started talking about Ultron robots. A few minutes later, according to what you're saying, isn't this robot invincible? After listening to Chu Shu's description of Ultron, Mordo's face turned serious. He had been staying at Kamar Taj and had no idea such a big thing had happened outside. If this robot gains control of the nuclear arsenal, oh my god. The more Mordo thought about it, the scarier it became. I was right, wasn't I? With such a big event happening, you, Mordo, the most outstanding talent of the new generation at Kamar Taj. Shouldn't you step forward and save the world with me? Chu Shu finished his speech. Mordo had completely forgotten his original purpose of coming to the New York holy place. All that remained in his mind was saving the world. So, what should we do specifically? Mordo asked. First, let's go trouble someone. Chu Shu finished speaking and opened a portal. Wait. I haven't. Wanda ran after them. But she couldn't catch up and could only watch as Chu Shu and Mordo left, the portal closing. Seeing herself being left behind to guard the holy place again, Wanda stomped her foot in anger. On the other side, inside the Avengers Alliance building hit by missiles, Hulk had already rescued everyone from the ruins of the Avengers Alliance. When the missiles attacked, Hulk, sensing the danger, immediately took over Dr. Banner's body and transformed into the Green Giant. Then, with his muscular green body, he blocked the first wave of impact for everyone. But even so, everyone in the Avengers Alliance was still injured. Hawkeye was the most severely injured, with a fragment from the explosion cutting his left eye. Now, just like Nick Fury, he wore an eye patch. It's fortunate that it's only a superficial injury to the cornea. It will heal in a while, and after recovery, it won't have much impact on your vision. Black Widow comforted Hawkeye. Then he walked up to Tony. Colonel Rhodes just sent a message. Ultron shot down Air Force One and obtained the nuclear codes. The current information is that at least one nuclear bomb has already been launched. In addition, Ultron has also infiltrated the military's internal communications. Every phone call we make, including this message from Rhodes, is being monitored by it. Black Widow's tone was calm. It was unclear whether she was numb or desperate. No matter how powerful the enemy or how difficult the task, Black Widow never complained. Because even in the face of difficult tasks, she could still see a glimmer of hope to complete them. But facing Ultron, Black Widow couldn't see where that glimmer of hope was. 1,000 words condensed into one sentence. Tony, you made it too well. Yeah. Tony sighed. Although it wasn't entirely his fault, the reason Ultron was so powerful was mainly because of the gem on the scepter. Hey, everyone. I think I've found the location where the nuclear bomb landed. At that moment, Dr. Banner, who had returned to his human form, ran over with a notebook. With JARVIS's help, he successfully found the nuclear bomb that had been launched and analyzed its landing site. The entire process. Ultron did not intervene or prevent it on the internet. It didn't even bother to conceal its intentions. Or rather, it disdained to conceal them. Do we still need to find the landing site? No need to guess. Ultron's goal is definitely to attack Russia and trigger a nuclear war. Hawkeye, with an eye patch over his left eye, said. In a daze, it seemed like he had inherited Nick Fury's brain. No, but Dr. Banner shook his head. The landing site of this nuclear bomb is in Africa. The map shows that there is only one underdeveloped third world country there, called Wakanda. Dr. Banner displayed the screen in front of everyone. Seeing the red dot on the map, everyone in the Avengers Alliance couldn't help but have a question. Why does Ultron want to attack there? Just as Black Widow finished speaking, a voice suddenly came from behind the group. Because the Black Uncles there have something called vibranium, a precious treasure. By the way, they are not backward at all. Chu Shu and Mo Du walked out of the portal. Hearing Chu Shu's sarcastic words about the Black Uncles, Mo Du couldn't help but tilt his head. Sorry, I forgot that you are also a Black Uncle. Mo Du seemed to remember his purpose for coming to New York again. Vibranium? Isn't that the material of my shield? Captain America looked down at the shield in his hand. Then he seemed to realize something. Chu Shu, are you saying that Wakanda has a large amount of vibranium? Ultron is attacking it for. Captain America's voice abruptly stopped. Because he thought of something terrible. Ultron intends to use vibranium to create an indestructible body. I once had this idea too. Tony, who had been sitting silently in the corner, finally stood up when he saw Chu Shu. Tony's emotions were complicated, because he had created Ultron so early on. Just to prove that even without you, Chu Shu, I, Tony Stark, can still save the world and maintain peace. But reality slapped Tony hard. Sorry, everyone. I messed everything up. Tony, who had never bowed his head to anyone in his life. bent down at this moment, finally admitting his mistake to everyone. It was me who messed everything up. Watching Tony bow and apologize. Chu Shu couldn't help but mutter to himself, does this kid suspect that I'm here to cause trouble for him? Playing games with me like this, taking a step back to move forward? Enough, Tony, our immediate priority is to stop Ultron. And not to investigate whose fault it is. Captain America stepped forward. Black Widow and the others also expressed their agreement. Just when everyone thought that the immediate priority was to stop Ultron. An untimely voice sounded. Why shouldn't mistakes be held accountable? Chu Shu walked out from the side. Adults have to take responsibility for their mistakes, right, Tony? Right. Tony nodded. Compared to avoiding the consequences, he would rather face the blame from everyone, at least it would be easier on his conscience. Ultron is my mistake, and I will stop it at all costs. Tony, who was originally despondent, finally rallied. His fighting spirit returned. Chu Shu, thank you for coming, and your companion. Just call me Mordo. Mordo. Tony was taken aback. He secretly glanced at Chu Shu and saw that Chu Shu had an expressionless face, as if he hadn't heard anything. Only then did he say, Chu Shu, Mordo, thank you for coming. No need for pleasantries. Just remember, because of you, I lost over $2 billion. Chu Shu's words fell. Mordo, who was beside him, showed a puzzled expression. You didn't just lose 2,000. Chu Shu immediately shot him a look. Mordo understood and quickly swallowed the rest of his words. Don't worry, Chu Shu. After this is over, whether you join the Avengers or not, I will transfer 20% of Stark Industries shares to you. Although Tony is now a penniless, negative, tycoon. When it comes to talking, he still has an extravagant and heartless demeanor. Hey, guys. Did you forget that a country is about to be attacked by a nuclear bomb? Black Widow couldn't help but remind everyone. Regardless of whether Wakanda is a backward third world country or not. We can't just sit back and watch it be destroyed by a nuclear bomb, right? Yes. We must act quickly. Captain America couldn't sit still when he heard this. He picked up his shield and prepared to take action. How do we act? Relying on your Kun. No. K-on-Loon-style aircraft. Chu Shu was amused by Captain America's actions. The nuclear bomb is probably already on its way, and you're just now flying over to chase after them? By the time you get there, you'll probably just catch up to their mourning period. And besides, Wakanda might not necessarily be afraid of a nuclear bomb. What should we do then? Are we just going to ignore Wakanda? Yes, ignore them. Chu Shu answered decisively. Wakanda has an energy barrier to protect them, so they should be able to withstand a nuclear bomb without any problems. What really needs to be considered is what happens after the nuclear explosion. At that time, Ultron's army of robots will definitely take the opportunity to attack Wakanda and seize vibranium. Thinking of this, Chu Shu informed everyone about Wakanda's information. Upon learning that there is a country in Africa with a similar or even higher level of technology than their own, Tony was surprised but quickly understood Chu Shu's meaning. So what you're saying is, Tony said, we really need to stop Ultron from getting a large amount of vibranium from Wakanda. Not including you. Tony continued, your task is to find a way to completely eliminate Ultron. Don't look at me, although I can defeat the robots created by Ultron, I can't remove Ultron's data backups online. Chu Shu didn't really care about Ultron's army of robots, let alone summoning Hela and her army of undead. Even if it was just Chu Shu alone, facing all the Ultron robots, it wouldn't be a problem with his current strength. But it's useless. Relying solely on brute force cannot completely eliminate Ultron. Can't magic work? Dr. Banner asked on the side. Doctor, what do you think these magicians are? Chu Shu replied. Take the magician next to me, Mordo, for example. He trains in combat on odd-numbered days, boxing on even-numbered days, and martial arts on Sundays. His passive skill is weapon mastery, and his active skill is counterattack storm. With such a magician, do you expect him to eliminate Ultron in the virtual world? Chu Shu's words completely shattered the last bit of illusion the people present had about magic. It turns out that behind the mysterious veil of magicians, They are actually a group of fierce warriors. My current plan is to modify JARVIS as much as possible, Tony said. Try to make JARVIS capable of fighting against Ultron. After Tony finished speaking, he himself also felt that the feasibility of this plan was not very high. To let JARVIS go up against a true artificial intelligence was no different from letting a baby fight Tyson. Let's split up, Captain America suggested. One team goes to Wakanda to stop Ultron from obtaining vibranium. Tony, you stay behind and find a way to eliminate Ultron. This time, Shu also felt that this suggestion was fine. Mordo, open a portal and take them to Wakanda. What about you? Mordo curiously asked. Shu's gaze fell on Black Widow. I have an idea, but I need your help. No problem, Black Widow agreed without hesitation. Alright, that's settled, Shu said. Stark, stay behind and research Ultron. Mordo, you go to Wakanda with Captain and the others. If you sense something is wrong, call me. Lastly, Widow, come with me. After Shu finished speaking, he opened a portal and left the ruined Avengers Alliance headquarters with Black Widow. Mordo followed closely behind, taking Captain and the others to the African continent. Meanwhile, in the mysterious country of Wakanda on the African continent, secluded and hidden behind the panoramic screen, Princess Surui, the daughter of the king, and a group of Wakanda scientists were struggling to resist Ultron's network intrusion. What is the situation now? The current king of Wakanda, T'Chaka. He looked anxiously at his daughter, Suri. Since he became king, this is the first time Wakanda has faced an invasion from external forces. And it was a disaster all at once. Dad, please don't interrupt me, Princess Suri said, sweating profusely. Her fingers were rapidly typing on the holographic keyboard. This AI called Ultron has breached our first firewall. And its true purpose is to deactivate the energy barrier above us before the nuclear bomb arrives. Dad, just imagine, what would happen if it succeeds? Suri finished speaking and quickly glanced at the screen next to her. There was a countdown for the nuclear bomb. 5 minutes left, Suri shouted. A countdown of 300 seconds appeared in front of the king. T'Chaka knew. These final 300 seconds were the line between life and death for Wakanda. Suri and the group of Wakandan scientists had to hold on for these 300 seconds. Otherwise, when the nuclear bomb fell, it would be the day of Wakanda's destruction. Oh, great ancestors, please bless us. On the other side, Shu, guided by Black Widow, teleported to New Jersey and found an abandoned building complex. There was no one around. The nearest town was several tens of kilometers away. Due to long abandonment, the building complex was overgrown with weeds. But based on some slogans on the walls and the architectural style inside, it could still be seen that this was a military camp from the Cold War or even World War II. Are you sure this is the place? Shu asked as he walked forward. He didn't do anything, but the rusty iron fence in front suddenly melted like terrifying heat, turning into molten iron. Not only the fence, but the blocking weeds also inexplicably caught fire and turned into ashes in the blink of an eye. But the flames strangely didn't spread to the surroundings, only burning a path for Shu to walk on. It's here, Shu said. Last time when we fought against Hydra, Stark decrypted their confidential files. It contained all the projects Hydra had been working on for years. And this is one of them. Black Widow followed behind Shu, occasionally glancing at him with her big eyes. Shu, can I ask you something? Black Widow suddenly asked. About calling me sister, just now. That. It just slipped out. Shu didn't explain much and walked straight towards a building labeled Ammunition Depot. It's not allowed to store ammunition within 500 yards of the military camp. This kind of building shouldn't be here. Black Widow immediately realized that the target was inside this building. Then, she felt a hint of curiosity. Shu, how did you know about this? Have you been a soldier? What Black Widow really wanted to ask was, have you participated in World War II? Just guessing. Shu didn't explain. He couldn't possibly say that he knew because he watched the movie Captain America 2, right? Thud. Shu kicked open the metal door of the ammunition depot and entered. Indeed, it's not an ammunition depot at all. It's an underground office space similar to an administrative office. There is even a shield emblem on the wall. After pulling the switch, there is actually power inside the building. The lights turn on one by one. This is where SHIELD was established. Black Widow walks up to a wall with several photos hanging on it, including Tony Stark's father, Howard Stark, and Captain America's ex-girlfriend, Peggy Carter. They are all founders of SHIELD. Let's go. The person we're looking for is not here. Passing through the administrative building. Taking a hidden elevator. Chu Shu and Black Widow arrive at the bottom floor of the building. Here, Tuo Shu and Black Widow see an antique storage device. It's one of those large machines that use magnetic tapes as storage media. Each storage device is paired with a processing unit. Underground, they form a gigantic computer that occupies an area about the size of 2 basketball courts. On the central console, there are 3 old cathode ray tube, CRT, monitors. Chu Shu, are you sure he's still alive? These things don't look like they have artificial intelligence. Black Widow looks around. The things here could probably be displayed in a museum. If someone were to say that among this pile of junk, there is an artificial intelligence no less than Ultron, I think anyone would think they're crazy. Ms. Natasha Romanoff. Do you not believe me? Or do you not believe in Hydra? Chu Shu smiles. After speaking, he inserts 10 USB drives confiscated from Hydra into the console. The moment the USB drives are inserted, all the disk storage devices around light up. One after another. Finally, the 3 CRT screens on the console also light up. A blurry face appears. Next to it, a camera about the size of a speed probe also moves, slowly aiming at Black Widow. Natalia Alyanovna Romanova, born in 1984. A voice sounds, but before it can say much more. All right, don't list my personal information. If you're capable, then say my date of birth too. Chu Shu impatiently interrupts the voice inside the machine. Dr. Zola, right? Hydra has already been destroyed. And in 15 seconds, I will destroy every storage device here. Chu Shu says while inserting a storage disk made by Stark into the console. Your only way out now is to transfer the data and come with me. Saying that, Chu Shu starts the countdown, not giving the voice inside the machine a chance to consider. 14. 13. The countdown has just begun. The lights on the surrounding storage devices start to turn off one by one. Soon, the lights on the last tape storage device also slowly go out. Seeing this, Chu Shu does not go back on his word. He clenches his right hand in the air. The surrounding shadows immediately form large hands. Boom. In just an instant, all the disk storage devices are crushed into pieces. Alright, besides Ultron, we have another super AI. Alright, besides Ultron, we now have another super AI. Chu Shu pulled out the hard drive containing Dr. Zola. Turning to Black Widow, he said, are you planning to use Dr. Zola to fight against Ultron? But he's Hydra. A machine? Black Widow originally wanted to say, Zola is Hydra's person. But in the end, she retracted the word person and changed it to Hydra's machine. What if we release him and he joins Ultron's side? Or, what if he helps us defeat Ultron and becomes an even more difficult enemy to deal with than Ultron? Black Widow raised 2 questions. Both were fatal questions. Chu Shu also knew that this was not an exaggeration. If Ultron was a mischievous child, then Dr. Zola was a pure badass. Neither of them were good birds. Don't worry, I'm just preparing for the worst. Unless it's absolutely necessary, I won't release him. Chu Shu said seriously. The reason he thought of using Dr. Zola to fight against Ultron was because of the ideas he saw in the What If series he watched before time traveling. The idea of multi-universe Avengers fighting against Infinite Ultron. Let Dr. Zola and Ultron tear each other apart. One is a human who uploaded self-consciousness and became a digital life. The other is a created super AI. Both are intelligent beings with the ability to think independently in the truest sense. Letting them fight each other is indeed one way. But you're right, Natasha Romanoff. Before releasing Zola, we need to find a leash to restrain him. Chu Shu said. He already had a preliminary idea in his mind. But to complete this idea, he needed to return to Kamar Taj. Wakanda. When there were only 20 seconds left on the countdown, Princess Surui suddenly stopped her hands on the holographic projection keyboard. Other Wakandan scientists also stopped. They stared blankly at the screen. What's wrong with you? Keep going. King T'Chaka seemed to realize something. Dad, Ultron has broken through the last line of defense. I can't do anything. As the youngest and smartest scientist in Wakanda, Princess Surui's first failure will cost the lives of the entire tribe, nation, and people. Various pressures completely crushed Surui. She was desperate. Ultron has breached the defense system. The energy barrier is closing. The report from the scientist next to her. It was as if it had taken away the last bit of strength from King T'Chaka. The elderly king staggered back a few steps and sat down on the ground. Oh ancestors, why is this happening? Just as everyone was in despair, a voice rang out like a life-saving straw. Hello. I am Jarvis, following Mr. Stark's instructions. I will assist you in resisting Ultron's invasion. For some reason, Ultron seemed to have not anticipated. Or rather, it did not care about Jarvis, the intelligent butler. Jarvis almost effortlessly established contact with Wakanda through the network. Ultron has been stopped. This Jarvis has formed a temporary firewall with its own code to block Ultron. Although it won't last long, but the Wakandan scientists looked at the countdown, which had already entered the last 3 seconds. Nervously, they swallowed their saliva. 3, 2, 1. The barrier has not been closed. Accompanied by a cry of surviving the disaster. Boom. A deafening roar came from above. Dazzling light completely enveloped Wakanda inside the barrier. Strong light overflowed from windows, door cracks, and every crevice of the buildings. No one dared to look up, because this level of strong light would burn the retina with just one glance. The rumbling roar lasted for more than 10 seconds. Until the strong light dissipated, the people of Wakanda lifted their heads. Only then did they see a huge mushroom cloud rising above the barrier. That mushroom cloud seemed to be rooted in the barrier, then grew wildly towards the sky, sweeping away the surrounding clouds. Wakanda hail! Wakanda hail! The joy of surviving the disaster instantly made everyone cheer. But in the laboratory, Princess Suri had a serious expression. Suri, what's wrong again? King T'Chaka noticed his daughter's expression and realized that the crisis was not over yet. The scan shows that thousands of unidentified flying objects are attacking us. Suri opened Wakanda's air defense reconnaissance system. There were countless red dots on it. Are they missiles? T'Chaka's expression became serious. No. Suri pulled up the reconnaissance screen, only to see Ultron robots in dense flight formations on the screen. They were coming towards Wakanda like a plague, covering the sky. How long can the barrier hold? 1 hour? 30 minutes? 10 minutes? T'Chaka asked. But Suri shook her head. None of them. Suri walked to the window of the laboratory. She looked up at the sky. The barrier above her head had obvious cracks from the nuclear explosion. The barrier has already failed. King T'Chaka remained silent for a moment. I will gather the warriors of several tribes. Soon. Under the call of the old king, many tribes of Wakanda sent out all their elite warriors. T'Challa, if anything happens to me in this battle, take care of your sister. The old king patted his son T'Challa on the shoulder. Then he put on his battle suit as the current Black Panther. He took the vibranium spear and walked to the front of the Wakanda team. Wakanda warriors, today will be a day of honor, because future generations will forever remember today. Although the voice of the old king was not loud, it stabilized the morale of the Wakanda warriors like a needle in the sea. The black uncles were excited. They began to howl. Wakanda forever! Wakanda forever! The old king put on the Black Panther helmet. His gaze was as sharp as a hawk, staring at the distant sky. Form up! Accompanied by the old king's roar, a dark cloud quickly approached in the distant sky. Enemy detected. Engage in combat. Using data analysis mode. Vibranium weapons. The eyes of the Ultron robot flying at the forefront turned red. The next second, a dense barrage of energy beams. Like a storm, it descended from the distant sky and fell into the formation of Wakanda warriors.